Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Penn Engineering's online admissions webinar. My name is Jackie Panto and I'm the admissions recruitment manager here at Penn Engineering Online. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank everyone for joining us today. We have a great webinar planned, packed with lots of great information. And we're really hopeful that we're going to be able to answer all of your questions and ease all of your concerns as you're going through the admissions process. So what I want to do is I just want to take a minute to provide a little outline of what you can expect today during the webinar. So first, I'm going to go over our degree programs and give you just a little bit of information about our programs. Then we have an excellent guest today on our webinar. Her name is Emily Parry, and Emily is the Associate Director of Professional Development and Networking. And she's going to go over all of the professional development resources that we have available to our students. And she's also going to go over those all important career outcomes. So she's going to talk to you a little bit about what our students are doing after they graduate from our programs. When Emily's done, she's going to turn it back over to me. I'm going to go through application details and talk a little bit about what it takes to build a strong application. And I'm also going to go through application next steps as it refers to deadlines and important dates, so that when the webinar is over, you can determine what your next steps are in the application process. So before we begin, I just want to go over some housekeeping items. There's some things that I want you to keep in mind as we're going through the webinar. Number one, the webinar is being recorded. So you don't have to worry about if tomorrow morning you figure out that, oh boy, I kind of forget something that they said. The webinar is being recorded. It will be posted on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to watch the webinar again. And in fact, we have lots of past webinars that we post. So you may want to go back and take a look at some of the other webinars that we've recorded in the past as well. In addition, we are going to allow time at the end of the webinar to answer your questions. What we want you to do, there's a Q&A function in Zoom. We want you to use that function, type out your questions in that Q&A function. And what's going to happen is some questions will get answered throughout the webinar, and then other questions will be saved for the end, and Emily and I will be answering questions at the end. So I want to give a shout out. We do have a behind the scenes team. We have Emily and Coley that are answering questions. So thank you so much. We also have Kat behind the scenes, and she's making sure that Emily and I stay on track and that we do the right thing during the webinar. So thank you to everybody behind the scenes as well. So I just want to get started by talking about our degree programs here at Penn Engineering Online. So we do have 2 degree programs. We have our Masters of Science in Information Technology, otherwise known as the MCIT online program. And it's really a first of its kind graduate level degree program because it provides, it's a program in computer science, but it's tailored for non-CS majors. So it's tailored for people that have no computer science background. So we really, we have a very diverse group. We have students that are made up of all different types of bachelor degree programs, and they're able to apply to this program and get through this program. So it's really a great program. And again, no computer science is needed. As far as the curriculum, the program is 10 courses. There are 6 core courses and 4 electives. Those 6 core courses are made up of 2 software engineering courses. Then there's 2 math courses and algorithms, including algorithms. And then there's also 2 like hardware and programming courses as well. As well. Now, a lot of times we get questions about the similarity between the MCIT online program and like a traditional computer science master's degree. Basically, it's the same knowledge that's conferred. So if you look at 2 different scenarios, if you look at a student who has a computer science background and they're going through a traditional MS in computer science program, they'll go through about 4 core courses and then they'll start their electives. Our MCIT students go through 6 core courses and then they start their electives. But at that particular point in time, when each one has finished their core courses and are moving on to their electives, they're basically at the same point in terms of the amount of knowledge that they know and the amount of knowledge then that gets conferred. So really there's lots of similarities and no differences between the 2. It's just the amount of core courses that they're taking in each program. Other questions that we get are, Is the MCIT online program the same as the on-campus program? And yes, the courses that are offered are the same courses. You're getting the same great University of Penn education on campus as you and online. So the programs are the same. They're taught by the same professors. Our professors teach on campus as well as online. The degree is the same. There's no mention of online on the transcript or on the diploma itself. Our Masters of Science in Engineering and Data Science, that's our second degree program. It's also known as the MSEDS online program. This is a brand new program. So the spring 23 will be our first cohort that goes through this program. And you definitely need an undergraduate in computer science for this program. So you need that, you need that computer science background for this program. So this is really for people who are already in the tech field and they're really looking to propel their careers through focus on data science to really propel their careers in this area. The curriculum is also 10 courses. There are 4 core courses and 6 electives. And again, similar to the MCIT program, the courses that are offered in the MSEDS online program are the same courses that are offered on campus. Same professors are teaching both and the degrees are the same. So there's really no difference between the courses that are offered. Now, I want to talk to you about an exciting opportunity. We get a lot of questions. We get a lot of individuals who love the MSEDS online program, but maybe they don't have that computer science background. So we have an option for our MCIT students to do what we call a dual degree. So we would recommend students like that to apply to the MCIT program. Once you're in the MCIT program and you've completed 6 courses, you can apply for the dual degree program. Once you're accepted to the dual degree program, you would complete the MCIT program, so all 10 courses, and graduate. And then you would matriculate and move on to the MSEDS online program, and you would only need 6 additional courses to complete that degree. So it's a wonderful opportunity to earn not only your MCIT online degree, but to also move into the MSEDS online program and earn that degree as well. And that's known as the dual degree program. So it's a wonderful opportunity for an MCIT online student. So what I'm going to do before I go into application details, I'm going to turn it over to Emily. Emily has lots of great information for you. So thanks so much, Emily. And I'm looking forward to hearing everything you have to present. So it's all yours.
Great. Thanks so much, Jackie. So yeah, I think that students in your position, when you are thinking about enrolling or exploring different degree options, one of the top questions many of our prospective students have is all about employers and jobs. So after I go through all this and I learn all these new things, is there a job at the end of the tunnel for me? And my long story short is yes, there is. And we have a series of ways to help support you in that career change or in that next career for yourself. So throughout my session, I'm just going to be talking about how you can connect with employers, different events that we have to support those connections. And then the most important thing that all of you should be looking at when you are looking through these different degrees are the career outcomes. So where are our graduates getting hired? What types of jobs are they going into? And what industries are they connecting with? So one of the biggest ways that Penn serves its students is by using the handshake tool. Many of you might be familiar with this because it's very popular amongst a variety of universities. So you might have had this experience with your undergrads, or if you pursued a second master's. Really what this is a giant job search database. So if an employer comes to Penn and they say, hey, I want to hire Penn talent, we direct them to post their roles on Handshake. It's not just a job board though. So it's profile driven. You can set up interviews with employers. You can communicate directly with employers. Employers host many of their events on Handshake. Both virtual and in-person events are advertised through this big database. So many times when you join our programs, that's one of the first things that we'll have you do. Make sure you set up your Handshake account. It's really the key to unlocking all of the doors to jobs and job opportunities with Penn. 2 other key databases that our online students have that are central to the University of Pennsylvania are CareerShift and Going Global. CareerShift is a great database that helps students look for companies and generate giant lists of company names by location and industry. And then going global is really great if you are an international student. So if you are not a US citizen, but you want to come here and work in the US, you need to have visa sponsorship. Going global has this really great tool that showcases which employers have sponsored visas in the past. That way you can narrow down your job search and see which employers are hiring international talent and sponsoring you for work. Other ways that you can connect are through more networking channels. So our MCIT Online LinkedIn group currently has over 2,000 active current students and alumni within that one group. It's very powerful. It's exciting to see people interact. It's exciting to see alumni giving their advice, having new students introduce themselves. It's just a very powerful tool. We are so proud of our Slack workspace. I think it's something that helps MCIT Online and Penn Engineering Online in general really stand above other online programs. One of the questions that you might have in pursuing a virtual degree is, well, am I going to miss out on that social aspect, or how am I going to meet my peers? Our Slack workspace is very rich. It's a great place for you to connect with others. Not only is it good for more social interactions or course help, but we also have a very strong employer network on Slack. So we have different channels like internships, whiz kids for our entrepreneurs, fintech, all different kinds of different industry types or job types that you might be interested in. If you're pursuing a role, I see this all the time where students will say, hey, I'm applying to Amazon. Does anyone work there? I would love a referral, or I'd love to ask you a few questions about your experience there. I've never seen one of those requests go unanswered. It's just a very rich space where I find our community does a lot of giving back and information sharing. And then finally, we have People Grove. This is a new system with the University of Pennsylvania. So all Penn Engineering is using this new alumni mentoring platform. This entire summer, I've been working to get alumni onboarded. Similar to LinkedIn, it's a profile-driven system. So people go on, they make their profile. The reason it's a little bit different than LinkedIn is People Grove really emphasizes the stories between your roles. So as many of you know, not every job is a linear, first I was at point A, then I went to point B, then I went to point C. That's not how the world of work is anymore. Instead, people are jumping around, or they're transitioning, or they're upskilling themselves through different degrees and things like this. People Grove helps emphasize that storytelling. And then through profile-driven connections, you will be able to reach out to any Penn Engineering alumni to set up information sessions with them. So this might be just a virtual Zoom, it might be a phone call. If folks are local to town, I know people have met up to have coffee, but it's just a great place to collect all of our talent, all of our alumni, all of our information sharing in one spot. So something that many students are interested in is they ask me, do you have a career fair? And my answer is yes, we do. I host this event in every fall. This year it's going to be September 14th, and it is run through the Handshake virtual career fair platform. So as you can see right now, we have 31 employer registrants. That number is growing. Registration closes, I think, later in the end of August. So we have MathWorks, Comcast, HealthNet, M&T Bank. In the past, we've had Amazon, Facebook, TikTok. Many employers are interested in connecting with our students. And as our enrollment increases, so does our alumni, and so does our reach across many different fields in technology. Employers are usually hiring for both internships and full-time. And the way the virtual career fair platform works on Handshake is employers have the control of their calendar. They can set up either 30-minute information sessions with large groups up to 50 students, or 10-minute one-on-one sessions with students. In order to help you feel prepared going into this fair, I have a series of workshops that you can attend. So resume help, cover letter help, how do you stand out in a digital networking environment? Those are the types of things that I do to help our students feel prepared going in. And then so far we've had great success with students actually getting offers from career fairs and making those connections with employers they are really interested in working with in the future. Other ways that we try to engage our community is through a series of other events. So for example, I was just in Seattle last week. It was so nice meeting so many of our students in person. We had social events, a lovely dinner, but then we also had some more professional events. So our whole week kicked off with me doing some small group advising where I just invited current students to have a coffee with me and chat a little bit about their career trajectory. Then we also set up 2 larger scale events of site visits with Microsoft and Amazon. During those sessions, we had some alumni and current students come join us and talk a little bit about their experiences with those companies. We also had a recruiter come and do a presentation about how you can get connected, timeline, deadline, interview process for working with those 2 organizations. This is an initiative that I know our office wants to continue. The energy that we get from seeing everyone and meeting everyone in person is really infectious in a good way. It just is so great to see everyone in person. So we look forward to maybe being in a city near you in the future. In addition to career fairs, employers will host information sessions. Many times employers might not be able to commit to the large scale events, especially with now all the digital offerings. It's hard for them to spread themselves across every student group they might want to meet. So if they can't come to our fair, many times employers will host information sessions throughout the entire year. This is another great way for you to connect with employers because they are tracking engagement. So if you attend an information session, maybe you submit a resume to a resume book, you are basically highlighting yourself as a student or a potential candidate that's interested in connecting. And many times they will track that interaction all the way up until you're interviewing and then sometimes all the way past your offer. 2 things that I oversee are alumni spotlights and skill building sessions. So an example alumni spotlight we had was a data scientist, a product manager, and a software engineer walk into an office. Especially with our MCIT online students, there are a few different career trajectories they might be considering and where they want to go. So trying to allow for that career exploration in the new world of technology, we've invited alumni back to talk about their experiences. With the new MSc DS program, we have this great rich on-campus program that already has so many alumni who are willing to reach out. I'm actually in the process of setting up a data week for our data science students this fall. That will surely be a great fit for all the students joining our online cohort as well. Finally, the skill building sessions are so that you can feel confident with all of your materials going into your job search. So is your resume exactly as you want it to be? Have you not written a cover letter for your few years and you need to dust off your experiences with that? Are you negotiating an offer that might be very different from the industry or sector that you were in before? I'm here to help along the way. So through one-on-one advising, through these larger scale events, I'm happy to help inform and get you connected. Penn Engineering Online is so proud of what we've built so far, and we have amazing faculty and staff who have really gotten us to this point. Now we want to make sure that the product that we are delivering continues to meet this standard. So through the help of our Board of Online Engineering Education and our executives and residents, we try and make sure that we are really providing the most top-notch education for our students. I know for our board, it is filled with entrepreneurs, leaders, people who are really experts in the field. And these folks come together with our director and our faculty, and they try and help us really create the best product and the best education experience for you. Our executives and residents are folks who have volunteered to really add an additional mentorship layer for our students. So for example, we recently had an Ask Me Anything session with Nancy Wang. If you go to our website, you can see a brief write-up and a little bit of a teaser video clip about what that looked like. But all of these folks are just really interested in giving back and connecting with our students. And by sharing their expertise at some of these top tech companies, not only with our students, but also helping us stay connected and build relationships and bridges with these organizations, they are an invaluable member to our organization. Another really important part that I think sets Penn Engineering Online apart is these special events that we try and coordinate for our students to make sure that you are getting the most out of your education. So this past summer, we had a SPARC competition. It's actually ongoing now with final, I believe like final projects are due the second week of August. So it's very exciting. We work with our MCIT Online students to create a summer project that they can then utilize to showcase on future resumes, talk about in future interviews, and really tell employers, hey, I have these technical skills. I took these courses and I learned them. Here's the application and here's me actually using them. We were so lucky that AWS decided to co-sponsor this competition with us this year. And so they are actually mentoring our students. Some folks from AWS, the software engineering managers, are working one-on-one with our student teams and helping them through their projects. At the end, the winning team is going to win $500 each and a fast track to an interview with AWS. So this has just been a very rich experience for our students. And these are the types of ways that we want to partner with tech giants and folks who are in the sphere that you all are all trying to break into in order to make sure that the education we're providing you is aligning with the outcomes and the future careers that you actually are pursuing. Finally, we have our career outcomes. So many students are wondering, hey, if I do this program, am I actually going to be able to get the job? Or, hey, Penn Engineering Online is my top interest, but what does that mean for your actual career outcomes? Here we have our outcomes for the MCIT Online program. Because MSEDS has not launched yet, we don't have any graduates to survey, but we'll be happy to follow up with a link to the on-campus program. What we found is with MCIT Online, our outcomes are competitive with on-campus students. They're a reflection of each other. That's the assumption that we're going to see that our online MSEDS students will be getting very similar roles to the on-campus MSEDS students. Because the degree is the same and the coursework is the same, the assumption is the outcomes will be the same. So looking at our first cohort of MCIT Online students, these students graduated in August of 2020, December 2020, May 2021. I'm in the process of collecting and finalizing our most recent group of alumni. Those graduates and that report will be ready this November. So if you're still unconvinced, you can check and see a larger group of graduates coming up in this fall. But as you can see, our students are getting the roles that they want. So the top reported industry is technology. Most of our students are getting roles as software engineers. You can see that they are working at Amazon, Bloomberg, Google, many of the big names that you might be interested in. Some of our students have also gone on to start their own companies. We have a handful of entrepreneurs from this program, and you can see that our salary is comparable to the on-campus programs as well. With that, I think that my official program has ended. Jackie, if you want to go ahead and continue chatting, and I'm going to just look through the questions and make sure that we're prepared for anything else that you might have questions about.
Excellent. Yep. So don't forget, use that Q&A function. If you have questions, you type them in there and then we're happy to get them answered. Thanks, Emily. I am going to, I just wanted to pick up with the application process and the application details. So I'm not sure exactly where everybody is in the process. There might be some that are still gathering information and deciding perhaps maybe to hold off and apply for a regular decision cycle, and maybe others are trying to finalize their application now and over the weekend to get it in for early decision. But wherever you are, I just wanted to go through some of the application elements and maybe perhaps provide some tips on building a stronger application. So when you submit your application, you'll have to submit your application with a resume. And what I like to tell applicants is that a lot of people think this is the easiest element in the application. And, you know, they might have just come off a job search and they say, oh, this is easy. I can just pull my resume from the job search because it's up to date. But what I try to tell applicants is that it's a really good idea to look at it closely and to think of it, is your resume prepared so that you're presenting yourself as a great MCIT online student or as a great MSEDS online student. So what do you need to do to maybe, you know, spruce it up a little bit so that the committee sees you, you know, as a great student. So for instance, if you're applying to the MCIT program, you might want to have a section if you've done some certificate work, if you've done online programs where you didn't necessarily get a grade on a transcript, but you earned a certificate, you may want to highlight that in a section in the online certificate coursework that you've done. Or maybe you graduated many years ago and you want to actually highlight online, if you've taken online courses since graduation, what those online courses are, so that you can highlight that as well. So you really kind of want to take a look at your resume and figure out how you might be able to tweak it, to show your skills and your abilities and any other things that you've achieved that would make you be be seen as a standout student. So that's important. You also need to submit your resume with a personal statement. Personal statements are really important. We don't do like formal interviews for our programs. So I think they're important because that's kind of like your interview, and that's the way you should probably look at it. We provide, if you go on the website, we provide prompts, different questions that you should include in your personal statement. You want to make sure that you answer every one of those questions. But you can also, sometimes applicants add important information. For example, perhaps you had a couple of semesters where they weren't your best semesters, your GPA dropped a little bit, there might have been something going on in your life that caused that, or maybe you were young and you were immature and you didn't quite have your act together yet, and it took you a few semesters for it to kind of kick in and for you to get going academically. You can describe that in your personal statement. We realize that, things happen, life happens. So you want to put anything like that in your personal statement. That's where to do it. So your personal statement is a way to really portray you and what you're all about and what you've been through, and really answer those questions and those prompts, and let your passion for wanting to be a student in our programs come through in that personal statement. So what is it about the program that's drawing you to it? What do you intend to do with the program once you graduate? So let that passion come through in your personal statement. When it comes to college transcripts, you are going to upload your transcripts into the application, and we do not need official transcripts. We are looking for unofficial college transcripts. So if you have a copy of your transcript, you can upload a PDF copy right to the application. We do need transcripts for every college you have attended. So if you started out at a community college and you transferred to another college, we do need those community college transcripts. If you've attended 4 colleges, we need all 4 schools transcripts. We need to see every course and every grade. So make sure you include all of your transcripts in the application. For our international students, we get a lot of questions about transcripts from our international students. Obviously, the transcripts do need to be in English. The main thing with international transcripts is if the grading scale is something other than a 4.0 grading scale, then you want to make sure you include what the scale is and the information about that, so that it can be properly looked at and evaluated properly. So you want to make sure if it's not in a 4.0 grading scale, make sure you include what the scale is and a description of it. And usually, most times it's at the end of the transcript. So make sure you include that page as well. That's really important. You can have your transcript evaluated. It is not required. And an application isn't looked at any differently if you do include an evaluation. Sometimes it makes it easier, but it's not a requirement. And by no means does it affect your application or the decision in any way, but it is an option. And we provide information about that in the application as well. There is a $90 application fee, and that does need to be paid prior to submitting your application. So you'll, before you can submit, you pay the fee and then you're able to submit. Now, with regard to letters of recommendation, this is the application element that becomes like a little bit out of your control. You're going to provide the contact information for at least 2 recommenders, but we like to tell our applicants to provide 3. So we only need to receive 2 letters, but we highly and strongly urge you to seek out 3 recommenders. And the reason why is, since this element is somewhat out of your control, it's up to the recommenders on how fast they're going to be and how in getting the recommendation into us. And they do need to be in by deadline. So if you're looking at the early deadline, which is next Tuesday, August 2nd, those letters of recommendation would need to be in by August 2nd in order for you to be considered for the early cycle, for early decision. So that's why having 3 recommenders is really a good idea. This way, if somebody's slow, hopefully you have that safety net there with that 3rd one. So even though we only need to receive 2, we definitely urge you to put 3 on the application. Now, in terms of selecting recommenders, we get a lot of questions about this, and some applicants they get really excited because they say, "Oh, I got the president of the company or the CEO to provide me with a recommendation," and they're very excited about because of the title. Really, when it comes down to it, you want to choose recommenders that know you best, that can that really know your qualities and can just describe and tell us what it is about you, the applicant, that's going to make you a great student. What are those qualities? Do you have great time management skills? Do you work well with people? Do you work well under pressure? I have no idea what they are, but whatever skills they are, you want to choose recommenders that know that about you, and things like that can come through in the recommendation. We don't necessarily care about the title, but it's more important on how well the recommender knows you. We do require that the recommendations, they should be like a supervisor or a manager, or if you're coming out of school or recently out of school, it could be a professor. They don't have to be professors. And that's another thing. A lot of our applicants feel they have to go back and find a professor to recommend them because they're applying to an academic program. Again, that's not the case. You really want to select people who know you well, know your qualities, know that you can be a good student because of other things and skills that have come out either in the workplace or in the classroom setting. They shouldn't be family or friends. They shouldn't be coworkers. It doesn't necessarily have to be your direct supervisor. It could be a manager that you work with that knows your work and maybe oversees or sees your projects that you work on, but definitely not a friend or a family member. The other thing, sometimes I get questions about, I own a business. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a business. I don't really have a boss. In that case, you could use clients because clients are kind of overseeing your work. So if you have a client, you could also use a client for a recommendation. Now, the last 2 items, the GRE GRE is optional. You do not need to provide a GRE, but some applicants choose to provide a GRE. If you look at the MCIT program, you don't need any computer science background for the MCIT online program. But one of the things you do need is to show quantitative ability, and you need to have proof of quantitative ability on your application. So obviously that can be done with courses that you've taken in the past and they're showing up on your transcript with a grade, or perhaps you've taken some online courses and you've earned a certificate in a quantitative course, and that would be on your application as well. But some applicants choose to take the GRE and report that score to perhaps show their quantitative ability or their overall academic ability, and they feel that's going to supplement or help their application in any way. They choose to submit GRE scores. So again, they're optional. You do not have to, but definitely there are applicants that do include that. The TOEFL score is for our international students who need to provide English language proficiency. So if you are not a US citizen and you're not a US permanent resident, and if English is not your primary language, then you would need to submit a TOEFL score. We don't accept IELTS. It has to be a TOEFL because we get that question a lot as well. There is an opportunity for a TOEFL waiver. So if English is not your primary language, but let's say you went to a university where the instruction was in English, then you could apply for a TOEFL waiver. And that's something that would happen either at the time of application or after you submit, right after you submit your application. So TOEFL waivers, again, if you've gone to a university and you've graduated from that university and the instruction was in English, then you could in fact apply for a TOEFL waiver. If not, then you would need to supply a TOEFL score. Okay, so that's a little bit about the application elements, and hopefully I provided some tips. It's really important we review the application holistically. So it is really important that you go through each element and look at it separately and say, have I done everything I can to make this element strong? Have I dotted all my I's, crossed all my T's? The personal statement, another thing we say is get somebody else to read it. Have somebody look through your resume and your personal statement, another set of eyes. I think that always helps as well. Now, we do provide a checklist. Either program that you apply to, there is a checklist, so you always can check the status of your application. You can see if your recommender submitted. If you are supplying a GRE score or TOEFL score, let's say, you can check that checklist and that application status to verify if all of the documents have been received by us by deadline. So you want to make sure that you're in tune to your checklist and your application status. Now, as far as deadlines and important dates, we've listed everything on here. We are right now approaching our first deadline, which is early application deadline. So that's Tuesday, August 2nd. Everybody asks the time. So it's 11:59 Eastern Standard Time on August 2nd. And really what that means is all of your elements need to be in by August 2nd. So that would be letters of recommendation. If you need to provide a TOEFL, everything for the application needs to be due on August 2nd. If everything's in and we review your application, decisions would be returned September 15th. We do have a regular admission cycle. That deadline is October 14th. And then we would deliver decisions on November 18th. So that gives you an idea of the timing. If for some reason, let's say you've submitted for early cycle, but your letters of recommendation don't come in time, then we will move your application to regular cycle, and then the recommendations would have to be in by October 14th. Okay, so just to give you a kind of an idea on how that works. Classes start in January, and we do have an onboarding course that starts in December for those accepted students. One other thing that I wanted to point out is if you are accepted to our programs, you will at that point need to provide official transcripts, and we give you all the steps involved, and we send you all of the information on how you can do that as well. So official transcripts aren't needed until you're accepted to a program. So that gives you a good feeling for the application and the timeline, and hopefully you can understand what your next steps are in terms of the application. What I want to do is kind of take a look and see what questions we can answer now. So let me see here if we can.
Looks like there are 2 questions for me, Jackie, that I can just jump right in. Is that okay with you?
Perfect. Absolutely, go for it.
So the first question is, what percentage of students are interested in nonprofit work? And are there nonprofit organizations that the Career Services Center connects students to? So I'll say from my experience, most students are coming to talk to me because they're career changing and they want to get into big tech. However, I have a little bit of a selection bias because the people who are on my appointments are very much like deadline driven. They need their resume reviewed. They're connecting with these organizations that have these very structured timelines and hiring headcounts. If you're interested in nonprofit and applying your technical skills to the world of nonprofit, I am happy to help guide you through those experiences. So I will say that we had a really interesting session with an organization who is committed to ethical computing. They came and did an information session for our students. And I found it just like personally very interesting. Not only do they consult with other companies about how they think about what they're doing and the choices that they're making in terms of ethics, they also host classes that students can take and training webinars that they package for companies. That whole session was just so interesting. So while a lot of times you hear us talking about FANG companies or big tech, there are many students in our program who are really interested in gaining these skills and applying it throughout different industries. In terms of, do we have nonprofits that we're personally connected to? We don't have formal relationships, but I'm happy to help you find organizations in your area, help point you towards resources to help you get connected to the people that you're actually interested in working with. The second question was, under traditional programs, students get a study visa with which they get to gain invaluable work experience in the US. Students going through the online program won't have the same opportunity. Keeping this in mind, is it justified to assume similar results out of both of these programs in terms of job opportunities? So I think that what this question asker is asking is, if you enroll in a traditional on-campus program, you get what they call curricular practical training, CPT, as a part of being an international student here in the US. Because we're an online program, we don't qualify for CPT. So that means that our organization cannot support you doing an internship, for example. So for our international students looking for an internship or that on-the-job training while you're a student is not an option. However, we do have students who are international who are coming to do a job search. And really what you're doing is you're looking to get hired by a company who will sponsor your visa. That is happening. The other category that I would say is unique to Penn Engineering Online is I have students who are learning from another country, wanting to get hired in that other country. So that's just another bucket of students. Not everyone is wanting to come here to the US. In regards to comparison, we don't have enough international student data to let you know whether or not that's comparable to our career outcomes are comparable to on campus for international students seeking employment in the US. However, I'm thinking soon with our admissions and our current enrollment, we'll have more information for you all in our next career outcomes report that might have a little bit more information there. So in terms of your question, no, you do not qualify for CPT. That does make internships and more part-time roles more difficult. But yes, you can look for and gain sponsorship through the credentials you gain in Penn Engineering Online.
Excellent. And if I just might add something too, Emily, it's a really good point because not everybody is a career switcher. There's a lot of students that are really looking to gain skills and to really enhance their own careers in their own industries. And that's a really, really important point. So thanks for making that. That's great.
Yeah.
So let me look, because I know we have some other questions here as well. I know there's some questions about the difference between early application deadline and regular deadline, and is it more advantageous, and is there a little bit of an edge to early admission? So there is a slight advantage in the early admission cycle, but what I like to let applicants know, the most important thing is to have a strong application. So if you need more time to strengthen your application, if you feel maybe that you need more, if you're applying for MCIT and you need more quantitative courses, maybe it'll allow you more time to take an online course if that's what you need to do, or whatever it may be. But it's more important to have a strong application. So I think you just need to take a good look at your application and say, okay, is it ready? And if it's ready, by all means, because it could give a slight advantage, but it's more important. The strength of the application is absolutely more important. We have another question. This is an international applicant from Canada, and he says this might be something that's unique to Canadian universities, but there are courses that one can retake for better grades without failing the course. I have done this for 2 courses, upgrading from a B to an A in both. I was wondering how this will be reviewed by admission, and thanks for answering, this person says. So the bottom line is all of your courses and grades will be on your transcript. So the admissions committee will be looking at the entire transcript, looking at your grades, looking at all courses, all grades, and of course your overall GPA for the program. So they're going to see that you improved in that course, but you also can put any information like that. You certainly can put that in your personal statement and draw attention to it that, you retook a course and you improved on it. Especially if it's, maybe it's a quantitative course and you want to point that out if you're applying to the MCIT program. So I would definitely say that it's something that the admissions committee would see on your transcript, because every course and grade is there. And if you want to call attention to it, then I would say to incorporate that into your personal statement. Okay. Let's see. There's also a question about the GMAT. Yes, if you're applying to spring 2023, you can include a GMAT score. Just make sure and remember your GRE and GMATs must be within 5 years. So if they're beyond that, then there's really no sense in providing or having that information sent, because it will not be taken into account. I'm just looking here for questions. I answered about early decision. Here's another question. If I want to submit a West credential evaluation for my international bachelor's degree, do I need to pay West to send an official evaluation report directly to Penn Engineering, or can I just upload an unofficial evaluation report as a PDF? You definitely would want to upload a PDF unofficial copy to us. You just need to make sure that the evaluation is a course by course evaluation, because we do need to see every course and every grade. I'm not sure if you have to pay for unofficials or if you only pay to have it sent, but we need an unofficial PDF copy of the WES evaluation, and just make sure it is a course by course evaluation. Okay. I get a lot of questions about transcripts. Yes, we definitely need unofficial transcripts. It says is a transcript copy. Okay, getting tongue tied, guys. I need some water, I guess. But yes, you want to do unofficial copies of transcripts. Is there a list of quantitative courses recommended is another question. So for those that are applying to MCIT and you're concerned about your quantitative aptitude, there's a couple of different ways that you can show quantitative aptitude. Obviously, your transcripts with your grades are, the first way and probably the highest amount of evidence as your transcript and your grades. But again, you could submit that optional GRE if you wanted to. But if you're looking at courses, and let's say you wanted to take math courses, the math courses that are closely related and are part of computer science would be your linear algebra and your discrete math. So those would be two math courses that if you're looking to supplement with math courses, linear algebra and discrete math are definitely the math that's involved with computer science. We have a lot of applicants that also take calculus or maybe refresh with calculus or take another level of calculus. Although the concepts in calculus may not be directly involved with computer science courses, apparently from what I understand, and I'm not the math mind so much, but from what I understand, the thought process that goes into calculus is similar to the thought process that would go into these other math courses, if that makes sense. So that also might be a good one. We also have, there's what's called open courses. We have some on our website, open courses. They're through Coursera. We have a computational thinking and problem solving course, and we have a specialization to Python and Java. Those are great courses to start out with. They also can help in the area showing your quantitative ability, but they're also great to get a good feel for what the program's all about. The specialization in Python and Java, they're taught by the same professor that teaches the first core course in the MCIT online program. So you really get a good feel for what that program's like. We have some applicants that'll take a course or two in that specialization and they're like, whoa, this is way more than I bargained for. Like, maybe I just need to do this and this is good enough. And then we have other applicants that take a course or two in that specialization and they are so pumped and they're like, this is great. This is exactly what I need. And their passion comes out even more for the program. So I think it's also good to give you an idea of, is this program the right path for me and the right course of action for me as well. So those are other options as well in terms of either preparing or if you're looking to show your online ability or your quantitative ability. Someone asked, I just want to confirm that we only need to submit 2 letters of recommendation. We only need to receive 2 letters of recommendation. We strongly urge that you go for 3 in case one of your recommenders is late. And that's really the reason why. Or maybe one of your recommenders doesn't do a great job. At least you have a 3rd one in there too. So hopefully you've picked all good ones, but you never know. The GRE is not required for any of our programs. They're optional. And again, I'm just going through reading questions quickly. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. Do you see any others in there, Emily? Let's see. Okay, here's a good question. I'm wondering if the certificate of credentials open courses offered by UPenn will be evaluated as a valid CS background. If you look at the website for our Masters of Science in Engineering and Data Science, the MSEDS online program, it does say you need an undergraduate degree in computer science, or you need a very highly quantitative bachelor's degree with considerable amount of computer science coursework. So you really do need formal CS coursework. That program, in order to be successful in that program, that's going to be key and essential. So those open courses wouldn't be enough to show that you have a bachelor's or say a minor in computer science. That's a good question. We do get, but you could start in the MCIT program and then do the dual degree program would be an option for that as well. And again, if you've already submitted your application, I have a good question here. If I've already submitted my application, but completed some of the Coursera courses after the fact, is there a way to point that out to the admission board? And once you submit your application is submitted. There is no way to add additional materials or additional information. Unfortunately, the answer to that for you would be no. There's really no way. Hopefully, you maybe at least put that you started those so that they know that you've at least started them. But we wouldn't be able to, once it's submitted, there's no way to go back and change anything or add anything to that application. Okay, so I think we have answered all of our questions in here. So I appreciate your time. I do want to go through, if you think of something after, perhaps you think of a question later on after we all log off here. There are a couple of ways that you can get more answers to your questions. First of all, our website is excellent. So I highly recommend that you go through our website. We have a terrific fact database in our website. So I definitely would recommend you go through that, look at the questions there and kind of explore that area. You also can email us. Our email address is there. It's online-learning at cs.upenn.edu. So send us an email. We usually get back to people within 24 hours. We're pretty diligent about that unless it gets super crazy around here with webinars and things. But we do try to get back to you within 24 hours. So definitely email us. The other thing, and I failed to put this on here, we have office hours. So if you go on the website and go under events, the last event listed will be office hours. It'll be a block for office hours. We definitely have office hours every Tuesday and every Friday, but we also add office hours when things get busy. So just click on that box, it'll open up a calendar and then you can book office hours through that. So you go on the website, the very top, click on events, and then you can click on the last box in events will be office hours. If you click on that, you can sign up for office hours as well. We do have a mailing list, so you can certainly sign up for the mailing list to just keep on top of webinars, events, anything else that's coming our way. If there's a new program or anything, we can let you know about that. We did put the information for the specialization for Python and Java and for the computational thinking and problem solving. And those are more for if you're interested in the MCIT program and you want to kind of try it before you invest in it, those are great courses. If you're looking, if you have quantitative, but you're looking maybe for a little extra quantitative or some online coursework, again, those are great options for you as well. So we wanted to provide that information too. So that is just about it. I appreciate, Emily and I appreciate you being here and joining us. I really hope that we were able to answer your questions and that we eased some of your concerns. And again, if you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to any of us on the team. We're happy to help you. So the best of luck, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much.